Am I on? Shabbat Shalom. I just want to say thank you very much for having me. And Rabbi, thank you for the support that we receive from you guys in Zambia. And at the same time, I bring greetings from the Messianic community in Zambia. I know some of you are asking, where's Zambia? It's one of those Z countries in South Central Africa. That's where I come from. And just coming through in this congregation, I was kind of attracted to that signpost there, going to all the world and reach and preach the good news. I believe that that is the Father's heart. He wants us to go out and share His word. And today I'll be sharing on code to make a difference. And before I go into that, I do have a short video I'd like to share with you guys so that you can see what our God is doing in them. Shalom and greetings. My name is Alex Yalenga. I'm the leader of the Zambia Messianic Fellowship based in Zambia, South Central Africa. There are tens of thousands of Jewish people living on the African continent. These include Jews from Eastern Europe and from the lost Jewish African tribes like the Falasha and Lemba Jews. In obedience to the instructions given in the Bible, the Zambia Messianic Fellowship is reaching out with the gospel of Yeshua to the Jew first and to those of the nations. We are planting Messianic Jewish congregations throughout Zambia where Jew and Gentile can worship together as a one new man. The Zambia Messianic Fellowship fights anti-Semitism and helps the church to understand their role in supporting the nation of Israel. We are a key participant in the yearly Israel Parade. The Lord has enabled us to make inroads into the Islamic world as we have seen many Muslims, including imams, hear the gospel and receive Yeshua as their Messiah. We have seen many throughout the nation, including influential leaders, come to faith in the God of Israel, like the Queen of the Gova and her tribe of 50,000 people. Through our Shalom Zambia radio program, we are reaching out to more than 2.5 million people on a weekly basis. The Jerome Fleischer School and Orphanage has over 220 children receiving food, clothing, and an education. As the work grows, we are also witnessing violent persecution, resulting in some of our congregations shutting down and our people being driven from their homes and villages. Even though the work is big, our God is much bigger. I'd like to invite you to join the mission of the Zambia Messianic Fellowship through prayer and financial support as we reach out to the lost house of Israel with the gospel of Messiah Yeshua. Thank you. Our God may be quiet, but He's not still. Yeah, He's at work and He's working. He's on time. And whatever He proposed in His heart is coming to be. And as I stand here, I just want to encourage you that ours is not a lost cause. We serve a real God who knows what is going on. Nothing happens without His permission. Nothing takes Him by surprise. And we are called to partner with Him, make a difference. A little bit about Zambia. We have 12 congregations, and two of those congregations are among the Lemba Jews. These are black Jews. In Zambia, we have the Caucasian Jews and also the black Jews. The Lemba Jews that left Israel around 2,500 years ago during the time of Ezra, and they're found in southern Africa. They're close to about 100,000 strong, and the Lord has just opened doors for us, and we're reaching out to these wonderful people, different villages, and we're so excited. I tell people that if you're looking for revival, join Jewish ministry, because as Scripture says, they're casting away of our people is a blessing to them. How about they're receiving life from the dead? And yeah, so we do have a presence also in Malawi, which is in eastern Zambia, and we continue to do outreach to the local Jewish community. And just 2 months ago, we reached out to about 216 Jewish households in just west of Lusaka. And we're so excited to see all these people, over 2,000 people, just come to hear the word of God. And I was privileged to go to Ethiopia with my wife. Ethiopia is up north, Zambia is south. We just go and encourage Messianic Jewish leaders there because there's so much persecution, confusion, and sometimes division among Messianic believers. And we've been around in Zambia for over 20 years now. So they encouraged me, they invited me to go and encourage these leaders to focus on Yeshua, not on the differences that kind of divide us. Our God is one, not divided. And so we were privileged to do that. And we also had an outreach. My good friend Jay here and his precious wife Pam, they were in Zambia. And I'll share a little bit about that. As a matter of fact, my message is kind of lines up with what I've learned over the years because of him coming to Zambia, making a difference for the kingdom. And he was in Zambia, and we went up to northern Zambia to meet the king of the Kaonde. You may have seen him in the video. He was seated with 2 lions on his side. This man just came to faith in the God of Israel, and he represents 400,000. He had gone to Israel, and when he came back, he decided to worship true God. And yes. And of course, we've continued to take care of orphans. There's so many orphans in Africa. As a matter of fact, there are over 50 million orphans. Yes, and in Zambia alone, over half of all the children are nourished. Hundreds of thousands of orphans, many of them who live on the streets. So we've been taking care of these children for a number of years now, and teaching them how to read and write, giving them food, shoes, and above all, teaching them about the great God of Israel. And we have close to 400 children we're taking right now. Some of them have actually gone into college now. Yeah, so we're really excited, and because these kids love the Lord, values are changing, and they are doing very well in school as well. We've had 100% pass rate, past 4 or 5. Yes, we're so excited, and but we're pointing them him who loved. Yeah, and many of them, great God. And matter of fact, this past year, the Lord blessed us, and we bought a new school for these children. So we're so excited. He's a good God. Yeah, and yes, I just want to. I'll open up during towards the end if you guys have any questions. But I really feel that we need to look at what is going on. At the same time, look at ourselves right here. What is our role? Why did the Lord choose us? So many people out there who don't know God of Israel. He chose you, and what are we doing? I believe we are called to make a difference. Each one of us, we are planted where we are by Him. Sometimes the grass is green on the other side of the fence. You may be here looking at Africa thinking, wow, things are moving. God knows why in this community. And I just want to encourage you, find that purpose and flourish in this community. Because our God makes mistakes, our God doesn't waste workers. And we are called to be different and at the same time to make a difference in our communities, in our state, country, around the world. We live during a time, we live at a time in history, when sadly many people think what must be done has already been. All the great stories of courage, faith, and endurance have already been written and told. Just think those lines as well. We live at a time when we think the Lord is about to end. Everything is done. The word has been preached. I want to share with you still work to be done. And at the same time, many of us think that we're too small to make any positive impact. And only influence which seems to be growing out there is negative influence, moral decay, stuff like that. But I'm here to encourage you that the one who is in us is greater than he that is. Yes. And when we look at ourselves through his eyes, we're going to be nice and encouraged. Stand for truth. Matthew 5:13. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt should lose its taste, how shall it be made salty? It's no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, neither do people light a lamp and put it under a basket. Instead, they put it on a lampstand, so it gives light all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, so they may see your good work and glorify your Father. I believe the Most High has called us to have a significant effect, or to affect the world. When he looks at us, he sees light, he sees salt, not miss light, not miss salt. That's what the Lord sees when he looks at you and me. Let's look at the world out. My heart is for the Lord. Some of you know my story, how I come from a place where there are over 200 religions, 200 gods. There's no hope. There's a lot of hopelessness. Some people have asked, why is Africa so poor, so defeated? I tell them, because people have no hope, give up on life. As I said earlier on, the Lord drew me to himself. I walked for over 30 miles, studied the Word of God. For a period of 7 years, heart ever since has been the loss in our communities and around it. If you look at the Jewish people today, some statistics say there are about 16 million Jewish people around it. Of these, only 350,000 are believers. This is a percent. Regarding that, Scripture tells us that Israel is not back. Few, our people will come. The Lord bypassed anything, came to you and sent us to reach out to those houses, do first and close of the nation. We can hasten coming. We take our calling serious. If we look out there, the worldwide, the world out there at large, there are about 7.5 billion people. Only 3.5 billion people have been reached. Talking of about 42%. Not even reached half of the people. Live in a country where most people are believers, where most people know what the Bible is. The world out there is different. Most people have never heard of the great time around, He wants you and me to take the word out there. And of the 3.5 billion people who have been reached, 2.3 billion are Bible believers. So there are about 5.2 billion people who are not believers on this earth. Now, if we look at the Bible, He tells us that He's going to take out the people from every nation. That won't happen by itself. You have to take this step. If we look out there, there are about 1.5 billion Muslims. There are over 600 million Buddhists. In Africa, there are over 200 million people who worship spirit. Still working. You and I hold destiny of other people's salvation connected to our walk with the Lord. If you look at the mission field, this just breaks my heart. I was looking at some of the statistics, about 5.5 million full-time Bible-based missionary workers in the world. And there are about 400,000 volunteers, missionaries in the world. And if you look at all these, 99% of them are working among those who already have the gospel. Less than 1% are gone out to those who have work to do. Rabbi said we need to be honest. We need to pray because we are fighting an enemy who knows that when we step, other people will step. He knows what is in us. Spirit of God who lives in us. He knows what we're capable. He wants to discourage. He wants to put the weaknesses in us. I believe this is a time to set our eyes on Yeshua. I believe in order to make a difference, we must overcome the obstacles that stand in our way. Yes, it's a big world. And I always remember how I felt so hopeless. I was so excited. I want to share the word with everybody else, but I didn't know how to do it. The big world is not about Him. When we focus on ourselves and our abilities and resources, we'll be defeated before we even start. Many of God's children question their impact and feel insignificant, useless. But when we put our eyes on the Lord and His ability, we'll see that making a difference is doable. Something that will be done. And it's within our reach. But however, we need to be well informed in order for us to make a difference. I said earlier on, many people in the Western world believe that everyone has been a fight. Everyone has heard about it. Meanwhile, not even half the world heard. Always remember, there's no way without it. No truth without it. Battle is in our hearts. Our hearts are like the war room. And most of us already know that the battles are not only waged out there on the battleground, battlefield, but they are planned and executed in the war room. Our hearts will move us either fight or run away from what the Lord has called us. It's not our strength that will defeat the enemy, but our God who is directing the war. The war, the battle belongs to you, not belong to you and me. And by the way, our God has never lost a battle. He's never. I was listening to Rabbi here talking, sharing about the demoniac and all that. Kind of reminded me of what we go through. In Africa, the supernatural is so real. I've shared this story before in this congregation, how we went to northern Zambia with 4 American friends who came to visit me. And when we reached there, I kind of told them that in case you hear or see strange things, just call on the name of Yeshua. This power that they looked at me, what are you talking about? Anyways, we were there. We arrived about 600 miles away from where I live, but it takes 2 days to travel. We arrived there, the sun was setting, and other things just began to happen. Weird stuff. Doors would open and close. Few people footsteps, sorry. People prayed, went to the village, and the villagers sent all these spells to help you, and they all fell apart. Who are you? What do you worship? With God, we form the majority. There seems to be a perception that sin will eventually win out. We approach the end of the world. I believe differently. What most of us forget is that the Lord has reserved some of the best. And us who live, yes, us who live in the last days, the Lord comes. He comes, will be the one who will come. Spend too much time focusing on Him around, not on God, not on our mission. We are called to be the light of the darkness. We're called to be the salt, to preserve the truth, preserve the light. Daniel 11, verse 32, the last part. For the people that do know their God shall be strong. Every time we think upon Him, every time we study His character, every time we pray to this great God, we become strong. Every time we compare Him with other gods, we realize that there's none like Him. Others are limited. Where I come from, they're gods of the hills, gods of the valley, gods of the mountain. He's a God of the universe. He's the only one who claims ownership of all life. And He lives in you. Only a prayer. Every time we think upon Him, we increase in strength. He sees the bigger picture. We hold on to Him by faith. I believe there's still enormous opportunities for us to influence the world around us. I believe there's still stories to be written. There's still walls of Jericho to fall. There's still battles to be fought and won. There's still room for deeds which will inspire others to take heart and follow our God. Lord, He could have done it by Himself. To make a difference. Every time you obey the Lord, you introduce life. Every time you stand for truth, you advance life. I said earlier on, when Rabbi J came to Zambia, I learned one thing. We went up to northern Zambia. I told him there's this king who has come to faith. Maybe you should come and encourage him, speak into his life. Eventually he came. We went northwestern Zambia. We met this king. He did something. In Africa, we're divided in tribes. Each tribe has king or queen, and some tribes are very big, over 40 million. This king represents a people, we're talking of 400,000. He came down and corrupted and gave tribute. Never seen anything like that. Later on, I said, dude, you read the Bible. Any nation that will not save 10 men from the nation shall come and take hold of him who is a Jew, saying, we're coming with you. Those who have heard that God, are we ready to tell the nations about us? Are we ready to share our God with the nation? This man knelt. I was like, this is not happening. This is a dream. He was not seeing Rabbi Day. He was seeing the one he represented, God of the universe, whom you and I represent. The enemy knows it. 1 Corinthians 3, verse 9. For we are God's co-workers. We are God's field. The Lord has called you and me to work with him. And we must realize that people need to hear the gospel. And you may be the only person to ever share the gospel. Those people out there in the congregation, you are on the front line. I've heard this said over and over again that people like me who come from Africa are on the front lines. Yes, it may be a different front. You're the ones who interact with the people out there. You're the ones who show them who our God is. I believe the mistake we make is we want to see results. We want to see changed life. And when we don't, we get discouraged. Then we compromise the gospel so that we can manipulate and change. Our job is to see. He gives the increase. Yes, there'll be times when we are going to suffer defeat. Why? Because it's a war. Enemy won't just let us walk into his bedroom. He's going to resist. He's going to come up. In Zambia, we've seen this. We've lost congregation. We've been driven out of villages by people coming at us with machetes and spears. We've also seen people come to the kingdom. Results belong to the Lord. We are called to do that which is right, whether we see results or not. Our job, I believe, is to plant the seed and leave the results to our God. We should try to understand the heart of our God. As 2 Peter 3 verse 9 tells us, our God is not willing that anyone should perish. He wants every human being to hear the gospel. Every time we sit back, every time we hold on to the gospel, we refuse to share it. Some lives are dying without hearing. God could have chosen any other means to propagate the story of redemption. But he has chosen you and me this time to be the ones to share Messiah. Our God wants the world to know about Yeshua. Those places where the gospel is banned, the Bible is banned, the Lord is using supernatural means to reach the people. People are seeing visions of Yeshua, encountering him in a real way. He's sending them to people like you and me so that they can believe. We need to spend more time in fellowship with us. What do we see when we look at the world? When we put on our human eyes, we see hopelessness. We see defeat. But Yeshua sees something else. According to Matthew 9:37-38, then he said to his disciples, the harvest and workers are. Therefore pray to the Lord of the harvest that he may send out workers to his harvest is ripe. What are we doing? Those who are called to go out, We can pray for them. We can support them. We can also be light wherever He has planted. We can be His representatives to those He brings into our life. There are many people out there who are ready to hear and receive the gospel. The work is light. Workers are few. What does it take the difference for our God? As I said earlier on, we need to be close. When you spend time with the God of Israel, everyone will tell you've been living. You can't hide it. Just shows. As we submit to Him, as we obey Him, He works through us. That's what the world is seeking. The joy, the love, the hope that is in us. Always remember, together with our God, we form the majority. Every one of us, we can contribute and make a difference in our own unique way. Rabbi J came to Zambia as an answer to this king's prayer. He prayed when he went to Jerusalem, send a rabbi to my land, to my people, to pray for my land. Rabbi J never shows that. You need answer to someone. So proud of this. Sometimes we feel like we need to perform miracles or do some out of this world deeds for us to see people come to faith. Every act of obedience has the power to draw people. When we do it with the intention of pleasing our God, the Lord will use that deed to draw others to Him. And at the same time, we should remember that we can make a difference without being in the spotlight. We feel maybe when everyone knows who we are, what we're doing, that's when we can make a difference. I don't believe that way. I believe we already have what it takes to make this world a place that will know our God. Making a difference may seem to be like an enormous task, but it is our collective efforts, small contributions that we, with a lot of heart, that we perform, that will draw people to our God. I want to encourage you that the world needs you. There's never been anyone like you. Never be anyone. You are unique. The Lord is counting on you to make a difference in the world. The Bible also tells us not to be tired of doing what is easy to feel like you've been hitting the wall. Just keep doing what is right. Eventually, we're going to reap. And as we obey our God, others will see. And they'll begin to question what is going on. Why are you different? I want to encourage you that God knows who you are. He knows the challenges that you face, the fear, the opposition, the limitation. Believe this is a time to call unto Him, to depend on Him. He will do mighty deeds through us. God has never brought any of His children into this world to live a vain and an unproductive. He wants all of us to be productive, to bring fruit that will last forever. I want to encourage you to pray for the salvation of our people. Let's do it God's way. Most of us are coming up with all these different plans. It's happening in the wider body of Yeshua. But our God tells us, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for the salvation of all men. Our job is to bring awareness to the rest of the world that He is alive. He is in control. He knows what He's doing. May He increase as we decrease. The greatest gift you can ever give to another human being is the gift of salvation. As you point them to Yeshua, you point them to the author, finisher of our faith. As we confront the forces of darkness, I want you to remember this passage in Jeremiah 51, verse 20. It was given to the prophet Jeremiah. The Lord told him, you are my battle axe, weapons of war, and with you I'll break in pieces the nation, and with you destroy kingdom. God wants to do great to you, and only we can obey. Only we can allow Him to increase. Only we can give up all those areas in our lives where we have built walls. Only we can confess our sin. We cannot have one foot in the world, another foot in the kingdom. He wants all of us, none of us. We need to call unto Him. We need to realign time. We cannot recover lost. May we walk in our call. May we pray for those we love that they may be saved. We can pray for those out there in the world. I want to encourage you that you're called to your congregation. First, make a difference here. Then you'll be able to make a difference in Zambia and everywhere else. But above all, remember the words of Yeshua. Be of good cheer. Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom. You guys have patience for me?
Question for you.
Yes,
Brother
Rabbi.
Rabbi. So you were talking about the orphans earlier. It's kind of a two-part question.
Right.
So the first part is, in Zambia, why are there so many children without parents, and what's happened to their parents? And the second question is, out of the orphans that you're raising up, are you seeing them as they grow up to become young adults? What percentage of them coming out of the orphanage are going into ministry?
Good question. First of all, I'd say that Africa is a very poor place. So we be of Christian out have requested very pagan. Give examples when, God forbid, if a man died, left children, brothers and sisters who seized, come, take everything, throw them up. Opposite to what we find. The Bible tells us to take care of the weak. And for Zambia, it all goes back to what we did. Yeah. I don't know if you knew this, but Zambia is one of the two countries in the world that Jewish during all of economy doing very well. Until 1973, the country broke up ties with Israel. After 6 months later, the economy. I speak right now, over 80% point. All this true to His word, apostles, universities, orchestras, we've seen it has happened. And they're trying to encourage the government to reach out. And because of that, unemployment and all that, the Life expectancy is one time old, it has moved up to about. So people can't afford to buy good food or have medication. Yeah. So that's what we live with. So many children, we have 5-year-olds. When we, wife and I, the Lord told us to plant ministry, we felt we should obey and reach out. First, we thought take care of and ended up with 400. The ones that we started with are just entering, doing very well. Interacting with them, I've heard some of them want to work. I don't know any right now who's working. Seen some of them, we interact, asking them, so what do you want to do? Some of them raise their hand. Done. It's an ongoing ministry side of that.
Some other questions?
Alex, what has happened to some of those folks who've been driven from their homes in those congregations that have been attacked? Have they found other places to live, rejoin? Tell us a little bit about what happened to those folks.
Thank you very much. As you obey the Lord, like in a place like Africa, it's like you're challenging culture around you. I remember myself, mother just to go and sacrifice to the local gods. I ended up being thrown out of the village. So when people obey the Lord, they are just, I don't know if you knew this, every day, 300 Bible believers. That thing is the Western world is not aware. I really, I not important. On all these ministries that kind of monitor persecution around the world, you see that Bible believers are being persecuted around the world. Never. So we lost about 4 congregations, and people were driven out. Others have to walk like 6 hours just to go and. So.
Some other questions? Mr. Chalk, will you work the mic? I'm full of questions, brother. So, there in Zambia, you had mentioned that, and I've heard from others who have visited Africa, that you have to stay prayed up and fasted up because when you go out to minister, there's so much demonic activity that you see all around you. It's just a fact of life.
Right.
Not like here when you run across somebody that's actually demon possessed. It's maybe a rare occasion. Is that correct?
Very correct. There's no pretending. And as a matter of fact, they say that the true child of God is a ring of fire around. Supernatural, the demoniac,
so they see the demoniacs. They see that ring of fire around.
They see that. All children of God, they have like a ring of fire. This, oh yeah. This kind of reinforces his promise that he never leave us. But we need to be faithful. No one can take us away from his hand. We can walk away. We need to be faithful. We need to be true and true to our calling. Once we allow the enemy to have a foothold in our life through obedience, we make ourselves vulnerable. The enemy can attack us. We are faithful. We are true to our calling. We confess in God always. That's a known fact throughout. God's children are attacked.
So the day school, then I'm assuming those are children that have parents or at least one parent, and then they just come to the school for day school and get the one meal. Are you finding that some of those parents are faith coming to Yeshua? Some of the parents of the children that come to day school?
Most of the children in day school are actually orphan. Yeah, they are orphan. Right, right. Live on the street, so they just come to school. Matter of fact, it takes about $25 per child a month. Can help them be in school, learn about God, learn how to read and give them teach. What's putting it? You have some of the gift of the three kids that Congo running a civil war. Parents, along the way, their mother, baby sibling died, but made it to Zambia with father, found a job at but died in a wreck. Left three girls, 5, brother 2. So they brought them like he's not receiving. So it's close to 18.
So for us to pray more effectively for you, for your ministry, and for me, what are 1, 2, maybe 3 very specific things that you would be asking of us to pray for on a regular basis?
My heart's desire is for the Jewish people. You guys can pray for them. Second, if you pray for me and my family, count a lot of faith along the way. Get grades, all that, all to keep us. Also, vision. Take the word out. Ministry is very courage. Take it. Maybe you can come and share, Jay. I'm like, I know, I'm standing right here, but I don't know which story to share though.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Let me start over high. um, Alex has been for at least 12 of those 19 years looking me in the eye and saying, "You got to go to Africa." Well, I said, "No, Alex, I can help you here. I know what it costs to go back and forth. We help you get the tickets. I get it. I just the money. You advance the gospel in that." There's several good reasons. In fact, I think 6 really well rehearsed excuses. And they all were working. Yeah, they all worked until the Spirit of God whispered in his ear, say, "Yes, this will get it." And he did. And I heard my mouth say, "Well, I'll be there." Well, once I said that, you got to be true to your word. And so I went. And I went, well, the next year. And then I went next year, and now I got to go again. I can't not go. Can't not go. I got to add a week because there's a lot yet we have to do.
Right.
Let me tell two stories, Alex. You've already spoken of the king of the Cayonde. Uh, Before I left, I asked my congregation in Denver, I said, guys, pray hard, really. Because I'm going into India. I mean, I'm going to where people get killed. We're going to the edge of the Congo. There are places that we drove close enough to the Congo you can throw a rock in. If you got to understand that some people in Congo are, well, mean. In fact, if you think of Somalia and put it on the coast, not a coast, the border of Zambia, then you've got it. There are raids across the border. We had to be very careful. Went and we had to. Alex always registered us under different names, and he would actually trade rooms with me. I didn't realize he was doing it. He said I would be the target. They would come to me. When they came into the room, they would see him and probably go. That's what he did without telling me. So I'm on to you. I'm on to you. So we went back this last time to visit the king of the Cayonde. Let me tell you, you saw him sitting on his throne. That's the real Lion King. He is the tribe means lion. He is the Lion King. We weren't even supposed to be able to get to see him because his closest advisors, his cabinet, if you will, were spreading lies about Alex and had told him all sorts of stuff that would make him not want to see us. He said, Alex, I'm strongly convicted. We are supposed to see him. I don't know why, but I got to see this king. I got it. So Alex and I, actually, or Alex, found a way around the edge, going to an old classmate who was one of his classmates at school who actually had his phone number. So we went around back on the back side of the firewall. We got in. Oh my goodness. That was 2 years ago. That king, I've never seen a man more praising of God. I just said, Lord, what have I got? I opened my Bible, I started reading him, showing him how connected he is, how powerful God is, and how his plans in the future include this. This guy was constantly praising God and was so, we spent the day with him very much. And he says, you must return. And I heard my mouth say, oh, I'll be back many times, great king. Well, having said that, you got to honor your word. So I came back, last year. It was this year, wasn't it? Earlier this year. Wow. How time passes so quickly. You're behind schedule. And so I was sitting there and we were waiting for the king to arrive. We were at a nice hotel there in a town called Solwezi. And I had my back turned. And I saw the people I was speaking with, Alex and his wife, Pam. The ladies came with us. And we couldn't stop them. We wanted to. But, you can't tell people like Pam and Faye just to not come. Sorry. They were coming. So they were with us right at the edge of the Congo. I saw everybody's faces change, and I knew what would happen because I heard sounds behind me. It was the king arriving with his bodyguards, his entourage. He goes, stood up, I turned around, and there he stood with his arm. Nobody. Two. Yeah, but me, I guess. You know what he said? He was surprised. He said, you came back. I said, but of course, great king, I told you I would. I asked him, said, King, may I ask a favor? He said, certainly. Let me back up and put a cornerstone behind this because You got to understand the influence that this king has. This king is of such exalted stature in Zambia. When the president of Zambia goes to visit this king, the president kneels before him. The other kings of that area of Africa have named this king their spokesman. In truth, he would be the king of that area. So, I mean, exalted guy, right? I said, great king, could you introduce me to other kings when I return? He said, oh, yes, yes, yes. And I think some of them are believers. And I said, yes, great king, I'm sure some are. But if I could ask a little bit more, could you introduce me to the ones? God, those are the ones I really want. I want to talk to them about. He says, oh, certainly, certainly. And I said, you know, when you're bargaining with a king, you kind of got to work in increments. And I said, great king, may I ask one more favor? He said, could you introduce me as well to your headman? Now, what a headman is in African society is the mayor and the city council of all the little towns and villages. He said, yes. Why did I say that? You understand? If I can get the king to join with his headman, right, the people will follow. Guys, there's something to, right, please, because Alex and I are going back, and I'm going to spend as much time as I can in northern Zambia. We want to talk to the headman. We want to talk to more kings. I don't know why I can talk to kings. I don't know. We haven't done well with kings in this world since 1700 something. I don't know. But it's work. And Alex has been trying for years to talk to these guys, and they just won't talk to him. And I don't know why. He looks like them. I don't. But it's working. Guys, be in prayer for them. Let me tell you about Bishop Zulu. Bishop Zulu is a precious, precious man. You didn't see his picture, but amazing man. He's got a congregation in the poorest parts of Zambia, poorest parts of Lusaka. He used to be way out on the eastern part of Zambia, right almost to the edge of the country. And he was doing a mission out there. He was planted. He was trying to get a congregation going, and man, was the opposition strong. Let me tell you some of the stories. If you think footsteps through the building and there's nobody there is a big deal, nah, that's small potatoes. This guy faced Satan. There are people there that have appropriated Satan's power, and let me tell you what it looks like. What he described to me of what it looked like. He was with a young child in his little home, but they make homes out of sort of mud bricks, and then sometimes they have a tin roof over the top. His had a tin roof over the top, and what he heard was scratching tin. And then when he went outside, he saw the figure of a man standing. That wouldn't be unusual, except the man was like 12, 15 feet tall and had one of the branches, maybe 6, 8 inches across, of a tree standing there. And he ripped that tree branch off and put it. There was another attack that came to him. It was one of the, what do they call them, shamans or something, who was standing there trying to curse him, and there was tall elephant grass just across the way. And he looked at the top of the tall elephant grass, and there was a snake made of fire, maybe 30, 40 feet long, maybe a foot in diameter, slithering to the top of the elephant grass, not even pushing it down, hissing. Do you see what's the common thread in there? It would scare you. They were trying to scare him. Satan's tool here. When he defied that effort, he won. And as I was seated there in his office, him telling Alex and I this story, I could hardly stay in my chair. I was about to grab Alex and say, let's saddle up. I want to go there. I want to go poke my fingers in Satan's eye right now and say, go ahead, give me your best shot. Oh, I was going Elijah on. As I stand here, my hair is standing right straight up because I'm ready. Alex is ready. Guys, I don't know where the Lord is going to take us next time. Next, probably spring. Go up again. We're not taking the girls this time. This way we can go into real deep into India. But we're going. We're going to push back the forces of darkness or wherever else. You know what? And we're going to throw seed out. It's not my job to worry about what happens to that seed. That's the Spirit of God. My job. And Alex has been doing it for 20 years. I've been privileged to join him now for 4, and we're going to do it. Well, I've been joining him on this side of the water, but you know, that's not. But guys, be in prayer for us, please. Yes, orphans are important. Yes, the kingdom is important. Yes, these congregations, these planted congregations are important. They're all precious. And yes, Muslims are coming to faith like crazy. Hundreds at a time. Alex and I have well, Alex wasn't there, but I went to one of the tribes in Africa, and I held a Bible study sitting underneath a tree. They had a special sort of a meeting tree, but they had a few rocks you could find. Sat there, and we did a Bible right there under that. And we drove to the village, but the thing is that there wasn't a road. We got off at a paved road. We got on a really, really bad dirt road, and then went from that to a track, and then we went from that to a footpath, and then we just drove down a footpath, dodging trees, the village. And Alex is telling me, they're saying, come back, come back, come back. Well, okay, going back. Alex is there all the time, and I show up and kind of kick the hornet's nest and leave. I did that with him. And let me tell you, that's the last story, and then I'm done. I mean it. Somehow, Alex, somebody else finagled an opportunity for me to speak at what we would call the White House. They call it the President's Palace. There's a ballroom that I'll say 10 times larger. That's where we spoke. And it was crowded. They were piled up 3 deep around the walls, every seat. There were 2 guys speaking. It was another preacher, and then I got to be able to speak. And then the preacher got up and basically, it was a rah speech. The president's wonderful. We love the president. I said, Lord, what am I supposed to talk about? He said, Proverbs 36. I looked, went 29. Which is hard to find, by the way. It was 29. Thank you. Yeah. It's the book of second opinions, actually. Confirmed by the prophet Uriah. $29. Thank you, dear. It's her day to watch me see it. And about halfway through that proverb are verses about what government should look like, what a good ruler should do. He wasn't doing those things. So I preached a message against the president and told him, I said, this is what government like right here. Here it is. Do this. You'll have success. And so the next day I was going to leave, got on the airplane and come to America. And then it occurred to me just that evening, I turned to Alex and I said, oh my goodness, Alex. I think I may have just kicked a hornet's nest. And I'm going to leave you to deal with the Hornets. And maybe the delegation will arrive and do one of two things. It'll make sure I get on the airplane and leave. It'll make sure I don't. No. I said, but whatever's going to happen, you're going to deal with the Hornets that I've set with. You know what he said? I remember, he just looked me in the eye and he smiled and says, nah, it's okay, that's what I do. And sure enough, a delegation came. Yeah, and kind of pushed him around a little bit. I just stood up. A brother alone. I introduced him as my brother. Okay, I know he's better looking. You don't need to laugh. Well, the deal is that, guys, we have mission. Alex is right. You will be caught by surprise by what God has planned. I was. Now I can't not do it. Do I love Abilene? Absolutely. Born here. I love America? Absolutely. Serve. I love Sam. I love those. That field white. It is white. It is. People are coming. I know. Satan opposes it. It's a good. It's a good. So that's. Let me shut up. Rabbi.